This is the first of 3 monologues I wrote for a few years back, looking at the story of Easter from Mary's perspective. Try and sit back and imagine you are there in Jerusalem. Spend a minute or so imagining the noise and the smells of what is happening as I retell this Palm Sunday story, starting at the beginning with Simeon and Anna. Led by the Spirit, Simeon went into the temple. When the parents brought the child Jesus into the temple to do for him what the law required, Simeon took the child in his arms and gave thanks to God. Now, Lord, you have kept your promise, and you may let your servant go in peace. With my own eyes I have seen your salvation, which you have prepared in the presence of all peoples, a light to reveal your will to the Gentiles and bring glory to your people Israel. The child's father and mother were amazed at the things Simeon said about him. Simeon blessed them and said to Mary, his mother, "This child is chosen by God for the destruction and the salvation of many in Israel. He will be a sign from God, which many people will speak against and reveal their secret thoughts. And sorrow, like a sharp sword, will break your own heart." One of my sons is shouting at me at the top of his voice, "Mother, mother, look, he's riding on a donkey." "Who's riding on a donkey? It's too noisy, I can't hear you." "Come quick, look, mother, you can see him." "Who?" "He's in the middle of the crowd, look over there, it's Jesus." And I can just see him through the crowd. He always stands out. He's never been very good at blending in, apart from the time that the priests tried to throw him off a cliff, when he just seemed to slip through their fingers and walk away, totally unnoticed. But it's not like that today. There is a cacophony of noise. It's like a feast day, a celebration. People are clamouring about, trying to see him, shouting his name, calling, "Messiah, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord." But why doesn't he stop them? He normally tells them to go away and be quiet when they announce who he is to all and sundry. Why is he letting this happen? It's making me feel quite uneasy. Something's up. Only a mother knows these things, or else she thinks she knows these things. I can feel this sense of panic rising in me. This will not end well. You know, I've followed my son all of these years as he's preached and teached and healed. And I've sat in the temple, you know, far enough away that nobody noticed or that I would get in the way. I've heard him talk about the Israelite king arriving on a donkey, how he will proclaim peace over all nations and go to the ends of the earth. It's from Zechariah, I think. But this is anything than peaceful. They are tearing down the trees to make a carpet for the donkey to walk over. That's my son they're talking about, shouting about. The baby that I held in my arms as the shepherds came to see him, to worship him. But now I come to think of it, they left the inn making about the same amount of noise as this lot are making, as they ran back to their fields, glorifying and praising God. Now, here as I look at this scene of joy and celebration parading down the road, I feel partly carried away with it and want to pick up a branch and run after Jesus with it and shout, "This is my son! I love him! Please love him too. He is God's son." But it feels a bit like when you're playing with a child and they just get too overexcited and you just know it's going to end in tears. This all needs to calm down a little. Oh, don't I sound like the grown-up? But I can feel Simeon on my shoulder, saying a sorrow like a sharp sword will break your heart. You know, I've never forgotten those words. And today is not going to end well. Lord, protect my son. Protect your son. Matthew 21, 7-11. They brought the donkey and the colt and put on them their cloaks, and he sat on them. Most of the crowd spread their cloaks on the road, and the others cut branches from the trees and spread them on the road. And the crowds that went before him and that followed him were shouting, Hosanna to the Son of David! Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord! Hosanna in the highest! And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred up, saying, Who is this? And the crowd said, This is the prophet of Jesus, from Nazareth of Galilee. Amen.